and therefore should be taken care of, whereby no child should be disadvantaged because they're poor or they don't have money, because they have the right to live. And for them to live, they should have access to all the health institutions where they can be taken care of when they need that, so that they grow up to be healthy citizens and contribute positively because they are an educated people.
Friends, it is really important to know our rights because it is the best chance of leading a happy and healthy life so that we become responsible adults one day. This is Wakadimba and Maggie signing out. It's bye.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening, I'm Nashon Marenga. In the news tonight, cervical cancer, second leading cause of death amongst Namibian women, 4,500 classrooms needed to address shortage, Schledwein shares ministry's efforts to assist the Funja victims, and Business on One, Comments Corner, Sport and the Weather. Cervical cancer is among the second leading cause of death among women in Namibia after breast cancer. The Oncology Center records a total of 350 cases of cervical cancer every month. This was shared by several speakers who spoke during the commemoration of World Cervical Cancer Awareness Month celebrated in January.
The commemoration of the World Cervical Cancer aims to create awareness about the importance of and availability of cervical cancer screening and treatment services for women who are at risk. Medical officer at the Cervical Cancer Prevention Program in the Ministry of Health and Social Services, Dr. Chati Lisoma, explained that cervical cancer is a disease which develops when cells of the cervix grow out of control. Lisoma stated that cervical cancer is treatable once identified early.
Cervical cancer remains the fourth most common cancer in women worldwide. And globally in 2020, 604,124 women were diagnosed with cervical cancer, and more than 56% of these women died from the disease.
In a separate interview with News on One, the clinical and radiation oncology specialist at the Namibian Oncology Center, Dr. Laina Iambo, indicated that the center records 350 cases of cervical cancer every month. Iambo added that prevention measures for cervical cancer, which is a lifestyle disease, include regular screenings, being conscious of one's diet and exercise, and sexual attitude.
As of 2020, the Globacon, which is the international organization that records cancer cases from around the globe, cervical cancer made up about 40% of all the cancers that were recorded in Namibia. And when I have to speak about our department, for example, we see on average 350 cases every month. So one needs to take care of their body, watch what they eat, watch how they exercise. And number two, the sexual attitude, because this is a disease that is known to be in people with certain sexual attitude, people with multiple sexual partners and things like that. In Namibia, we have a vaccine for cervix cancer, although still not yet available in the public sector, but it's available in the private sector. It's recommended that girls and boys actually should go for this vaccination.
The United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR Country Coordinator Cheryl Amoroso added that the Center for Diseases Control and PEPFAR is assisting the Ministry of Health and Social Services to introduce vaccination for human papilloma virus, or HPV, which is the most common cause of cervical cancer.
As Dr. Chatti just told us, the purpose of cervical cancer screening is to identify the precancerous cells, cells that are not yet cancerous, but if left untreated, may become cancer. Prevention is always better than the cure, and in this instance, it's no different. It's quicker, simpler, and safer for your health to identify and remove the precancerous cells than it is to treat the cancerous ones. CDC Namibia, through the support from the United States President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief PEPFAR, has worked with the Ministry of Health and Social Services in order to train healthcare providers across the country to know how to screen and treat women for cervical cancer.
The Ministry of Health and Social Services will conduct cervical cancer screening sessions at all public health facilities around the country from the 23rd of January to the 3rd of February 2023.
My Father, in Jesus Christ's name, you said in your word, ask and you shall receive.
Before coming to the church, my life was miserable.
My life today is amazing.
Only you can make this change to be possible in their life. So I pray right now, may your power begin to touch them, my God.
In order to address the shortage of classrooms, especially those in remote areas, MTC has collaborated with the Ministry of Education to build more classrooms. At a recent event, MTC presented figures indicating that the education sector is facing a shortage of over 4,500 classrooms countrywide. The mobile telecommunication company, through its Rural Schools project, pledged $3.2 million to construct classrooms in 3 regions, namely Zambezi, Ohangwena, and Hardap.
The Rural Schools project is aimed at constructing more classrooms in efforts to cater for the ever-increasing learner population in the country. To date, MTC has invested $5 million, which benefited 5 schools, namely Okondaune Combined School in Kunene region, Omatako Primary School in Nzonzupa, Zinzongoro Primary School, Kavango West, Onaoshe Combined School, Oshana, and Asenker, Karas.
The objective is really to go out, especially in rural Namibia, to identify schools that do not have classrooms and either renovate those classrooms or build new classrooms. So that's the objective of this project, to make sure that the kids that are in rural areas have a safe environment. We know, and I know that the media has seen so many pictures, videos of students either under trees or under deplorable conditions.
MTC's Chief Human Capital Corporate Affairs and Marketing Officer, Tim Ekanjo, expressed dismay over the shortage and dilapidated classrooms faced by many schools in the country. Ekanjo said this has resulted in a Namibian child being taught in unconducive environments and resulted in schools not performing well.
They have 59 learners, 59 enrolled learners, 17 learners in grade 1 and 2, consisting of 4 blocks of traditional buildings, because we asked them what their current state is as well. And then they have requested for 4 classrooms and an elevated water tank. In most cases where we've put up classrooms, this is direct, from the teachers, principals, the regional education directors, that attendance have increased at those schools. Learners are more motivated to come to school. There's a better teacher versus student attention due to the space. Teachers are more motivated, and also the learners' performances. I think very important how we identify the schools. We have access to all the regional education directors, and we would say to them, we want to commit to 2 regions this year, and the regional education directors will then say to us, this is the worst school in the region that needs the most attention, and we will then pick that school. So once we are done with all the regions, we will then go back and start with where we started, and we will then go and pick the second worst school in that region.
Ekanjo stated that the shortage of classroom needs a holistic approach, and this challenge needs smart collaboration to solve it. Ekanjo urged stakeholders to come on board and build more schools for a Namibian child.
The Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Kalle Schledwein, has informed the public that the Namibian Air Force has availed a helicopter to help identify and rescue flood victims in northern Namibia. This is part of ongoing efforts by the ministry and other relevant authorities to evacuate community members affected by the floods in the Ohangwena region.
Schledwein addressed agricultural stakeholders, staff members and the media in Windhoek earlier today. He explained that during his visit to the northern flood-stricken regions last week, he spoke with governors, councillors and traditional authorities to identify families that are in need of equipment, food and financial assistance due to losses caused by the flood. Schledwein said the ministry is aware of the public's need to know how the ministry is helping flood victims and wishes to put all doubt to rest.
People have settled along these streams because of the water. Not only during the flood, but when the flood recedes, the Oshanas remain and the water is available. But we have now encroached into these streams and the floodplains, and there are therefore some vulnerable groups that need assistance. They need to be evacuated or fed or whatever. So as a ministry, we will give that information, and we are well geared again to do that, albeit in a manual fashion now, because our telemetric system is down. We will re-establish it, but manually we are very well equipped to do that. We have roped in the assistance of the Air Force. They have made available an helicopter, so we can fly weekly to see the extent and the unfolding of the flood.
The minister added that his office is actively putting together a more comprehensive plan to help with long-term solutions to the flood problem while continuously assessing and monitoring the Efunja.
Together with the disaster management team in the 4 regions in a coordinated way, identify those that are vulnerable. They will identify those where the homes are flooded or those where the mango fields are gone and they have no harvest in prospects, so that we can support them.
Schledwein further alluded that the public should stop vandalizing and destroying equipment used to measure and monitor water activities. He said that 20 water facilities in the rural areas have been destroyed, leaving 20 communities without potable drinking water.
And to our shock, civil servants were involved. Now those who serve the people are involved in causing the demise of a service for a very desperately needed service for a community. I wonder how low we want to sink. Now we have charged 4 of them. We will see. The process will unfold. No mercy, of course. I think it's just mind-boggling when these criminal activities that hurt the vulnerable the most, that evil action becomes very vivid and very painful.
Right
great deals from Choppies. Choppies, great deals for your money.
I'm Jessica Lagranzi, Marketing Coordinator here for the Kostef Arts and Crafts Center in Swakopmund. We started our journey in 2009 already, and as part of
Welcome to Business on One. The Public Service Union of Namibia Secretary General Matthew Hakuria has refuted claims that trade unions are ineffective in dealing with labor relation issues. Hakuria stated that some workplaces have no trade unions to represent employees, which results in disputes being unresolved.
Local political analyst Ndumba Kamwanya recently stated that trade unions have lost relevance and their ineffectiveness have created a vacuum in addressing labor issues. Kamwanya added that trade unions often neglect the plight of their members, which has led to political parties getting involved in issues affecting workers.
We have seen that unions, especially the leadership of various unions, they are in there for their own interests, including to make sure that they be co-opted in leadership positions, whether government or in the political party. So what that is doing to labor relations is that it's creating a vacuum really to address issues that are affecting ordinary workers.
In response to this, Hakuria stated that the lack of publicity has created the impression that bargaining bodies are ineffective while a lot is being achieved away from the limelight.
Trade unions have not lost relevance as far as I'm concerned. They are very much relevant and they are doing a lot in this country. But you will have potentially some companies where employees are either not well represented because we are not perfect, or there is no trade union at all at that company, and workers, because they are suffering, they are under stress, they will go to a social activist or any person that they feel can attend to their problem at that point in time. Traditional trade unions, we do not put our issues in the media or on Facebook every time we win a case, every time we take a worker back who was fired, every time we go to a company and avert an unrest or get workers that were fired back at work. We don't walk around with cameras and showing the public what we are doing. And that is why people think trade unions are doing nothing.
Hakuria stated that trade unions handle labor issues in accordance with the procedures and processes stipulated in Labor Law Act. However, Hakuria stated that the labor laws of the country remain anti-trade union.
When you register a trade union, you are bound to follow the labor laws of the country. You do not just go and organize a wildcat strike at a company. It's against the laws. The company can sue the union for potential loss of income because you caused that, they lost so many millions per day. It's the union that does that, that did that. You know the rules, they will sue you. Union people were already sued in Wolfish Bay over fishermen. So we follow procedure, as I explained in the case of NHE. So trade unions are bound by the Labour Act to follow certain processes before you will see them in the street with posters jumping up and down. It's a tripartite arrangement, and this is how we resolve disputes. Although we feel that the labour laws of Namibia are anti-union, anti-trade union.
And that is all we have for you. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for more on the business front.
In this episode, we'll be looking at news-making headlines from the online business newspaper, The Brief.
Inflation is what we call the general increase in price level. We talk about the price of the oil and gas that we use.
And after that, we'll be diving into a discussion about the recently launched Cybersecurity Council by the Bank of Namibia and how it affects you.
Cybercrime has become more prevalent and it has also evolved over the years.
And now for a look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. A hydrologist at the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Leonard Hango, has cautioned that a second flood wave is soon expected to enter the Engela stream from the Santa Clara River tributary known as Pequeno Kunene or Small Kunene. Tobias wants more to be done than just monitoring the water levels. Sikongo recommends the government construct 2 dams. Saki said the terrain is simply too flat and may not be suitable. Edmund wants to hear of solutions over 3 decades after independence. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to engage in our stories on our social media pages for broadcast on News on One.
On this episode of The She Word, we find out what should be done to protect egg donors from possible exploitation.
It is while waiting for a doctor's appointment to undergo tubal ligation in the UK that Pumla Navacha heard about egg donation.
I overheard a conversation between 2 slightly older African women, and they were going through a deep conversation about how they had failed for years and years, been trying to have a child, to have children.
And now, let's have a look at some sports news. The Namibian Netball Association, the NNA, successfully concluded the MTC Premiership League last week Saturday in Windhoek. 9 teams in total locked horns at the Wanderers Sport Ground at the indoor facilities.
MTC Netball Premiership League coordinator and teacher MC Esterhazen says she is happy with how the league sealed off proceedings on Saturday. The league coordinator made these comments via a telephonic interview with Sport and One from the coastal town of Walvis Bay.
It's so good to see how the level of play is just lifted by the 5 people on board. And because it's fast, it's critical thinking, and it's clever thinking, and it's making plans and having to think on your feet, and that is what we want in the Premier League. So we're going to have the Fast 5 edition also prior to the kicking off of the actual Namibian Netball NTC Premier League, which will be towards the end of March. I would just like to mention the people should not be discouraged, because we are going to have games played in Sumet and further up north, even in Oshakati. So a lot of netball will still be played in the northern region as well.
The newly elected league coordinator said that youth development in the country will be the focal point of the administration to help feed the national team with youthful new talent.
The NSSU, the Namibia School Sports Union, a few years back, they omitted the under-19s from the Namibian School Sports Union program, and that was such a sad day for netball, because that is our matric girls are under 19s, and for some reason they were sort of left out, if I can call it that. There's a lot of that we can do, because the school's netball is very, very healthy. We have very, very good structures in place in school netball all over the country. All 14 regions are participating in the different age groups. All of them are running their leagues. It's just when we get to the under-19s, we are a bit neglecting our under-19 girls. And I feel that we can do more to accommodate them into our netball structures.
Sport analyst Olsen Kariri, who is an avid follower of netball in the country, said he is delighted with progress made by the new administrators.
Netball has been making waves globally. We have seen most of the players also moving outside the country. And we know that they have recently got new leadership. They appointed a new Secretary General, and even though they took some controversial decisions not to have promotion or relegations, which I don't support, because it sometimes bring a lot of fights. We saw it in football. But we all want to wish them well. I want to say thanks to the netball team that at least there's a lot of things that are happening. There's improvement into its administration. And I think clubs will get serious and we'll start seeing people earning out of that sports.
The netball administrators will announce the launch of the start of the new league season soon.
That's all the sports news we had for you. Please stay tuned for the weather forecast. We have come to the end of tonight's edition of News on One. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. From me, Nashon Marenga, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future. A hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Thank you for watching this show on One Africa. Because you are part of our One family, your voice is very important to us. Please take a moment to rate this show by scanning the QR code on your screen now, and you can stand a chance to win fantastic prizes every month. T's and C's apply.